Hey everyone, this is NorvellCentral coming back at you with another YouTube video. And I just want to get straight into the video, but before I get started, I just want to thank everyone for the 1,000 subscribers that I have so far on my YouTube channel. I haven't started the channel that long, so it's been very impressive to see that so many supporters out there have been really supporting me through thick and thin. And I just want to continue to share my love for Florida State and a passion that's very, very positive and can be able to, spread the love throughout players, coaches, recruits, everything, so fans can all enjoy. But I just want to go ahead and talk about today in the video about Tate Rodemaker. This is a kind of factor of discussion that Florida State fans are having because when you come into spring practice, there's a lot of times where you can be optimistic, and Florida State fans throughout the past 5 years have been really cautiously optimistic, and there's been a lot of opportunities that Florida State can really be able to take advantage of some certain things. And there were some question marks on this roster, specifically at the quarterback position, that you really wanted to see answered. And Florida State, as it stands right now, have 3 scholarship quarterbacks. They have Jordan Travis, they have Tate Rodemaker, and then they also have A.J. Duffy. But one kind of glaring thing that Florida State fans kind of wanted to see was really how Tate Rodemaker was going to perform. Some people thought that maybe he might transfer out of the program because it just wasn't the right fit for him at the moment. But Mike Norvell has continued to glow about his development as a quarterback this offseason, and he's kind of really taken that step forward. Now, with my projected depth chart that I kind of had a featured video on before, I had Tate Rodemaker as my second quarterback, and I thought this was mainly because there's a lot of pressure that's going to be built on a true freshman in A.J. Duffy. While he is very, very talented, I think Tate Rodemaker has got to take that next step forward to be the second-string quarterback. Now, when you're looking at Tate Rodemaker's career as a Florida State Seminole so far, it really hasn't been much to really bank on for being a successful, even backup quarterback. During the 2021 season, he only had completed 1 of 2 of his pass attempts for 7 yards, and this was actually in relief duty in the season finale against Florida. That was whenever Jordan Travis had went down with an injury, and he kind of looked like deer in the headlights for the most part. In the 2020 season, it didn't get much better. He completed 17 of his 29 passes for 130 yards with 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And like I said, it's been very rocky for him. A lot of times he didn't really perform up to expectations when game-like environments were right in front of him. And everything started to click for the most part. I thought that there was a lot of different things that he was starting to click on this offseason. It comes when, you're a redshirt sophomore at this point. You're trying to figure out things, and you're in year 3 of the offense. And I think that's really going to be really important for him going forward there. But, we have to really think about that Rodemaker's really taken the necessary steps of becoming a successful quarterback to really provide some depth at the position. And practice, I know, doesn't mean everything. I know that you have to really take that with a grain of salt because everything can be a good practice player. They were talking about James Blackman being good at practice, Mackenzie Milton being good at practice. But when it comes to a game-like environment, it just did not happen. So it could be a sense where the bright lights of a game environment could be too much for him to bear to be an efficient quarterback. But, you look at his high school career. I mean, it was very, very successful. He threw for 6,811 yards and 74 touchdowns during his high school career as a 2-year starter. He averaged 243 yards per game, and he also threw 42 touchdowns as a senior, completing 66.8% of his passes for 3,225 yards, and he led them to the 3rd round of the 6A playoffs. And this was a situation where his offense was tallying. They were tallying over 4,695 yards of total offense, and they were averaging 361 yards per game. And he was actually named the Georgia Coaches Association Player of the Year. And even as a junior, I mean, he still played pretty well. I mean, he threw for 3,339 yards and also 31 touchdowns. And he also had a little bit on the ground that he was actually contributing to. Now, this doesn't seem much because he did choose Florida State over schools like Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, Baylor, schools like that. So there wasn't too much there. I mean, he was a very good quarterback at one point, and they were really looking and banking on that pocket passer. He was the first quarterback that Norvell actually added into this class. And, they wanted to add 2 quarterbacks to this roster, and they did. And this is a thing where Florida State fans really overshadowed Rodemaker in terms of just development because Chuba Purdy was actually a 4-star quarterback coming out of Arizona, and everybody was so excited about, Purdy coming into the program. Next thing you know, a couple of years down the road, and now he's transferred to Nebraska, and you're trying to figure out what you have in Tate Rodemaker. I mean, the development has not always been there correctly, but Purdy, from his mindset, has already been hurt throughout his time at Florida State. He really wasn't able to get on the field as much, and it just left a lot to be desired. And I understand the fact of worrying about Tate Rodemaker and his development, because if you really think about it, Jordan Travis has not been the most healthiest person either. So you're trying to figure out what you have in the quarterbacks. And really, when you come down to it, I mean, Jordan Travis has not really stayed healthy throughout his time at Florida State. And then you also have a guy like A.J. Duffy, who's a true freshman. But even Jameis Winston had to get a year to redshirt before he was really able to contribute at a high level. So that's a lot to ask for a true freshman, especially one that actually missed his junior season in California because of the COVID season. And he transferred to IMG, and, he played decently well with a lot of weapons they had around there, but they were kind of a run-oriented offense. So overall, I think that Tate Rodemaker's got to show a lot. We have 6 more practices before the spring game on April the 9th. So it's going to be a lot of factors to see what we have next. And today's practice is going to be at 4 o'clock. So it's going to be really impressive to see if Tate Rodemaker continue to string along those performances together and be able to be an efficient ACC backup quarterback. And if he does, it kind of looks like, if you look at it from a size perspective, Norvell has talked about Tate Rodemaker and his development. I mean, he's in his 3rd year. So there's going to be times where this is the guy you're going to have to move forward with it. I mean, he's in the 3rd year of the offense. He knows the offense to an ability now. I know Norvell's offense is pretty complex when it comes to different formations and such, but overall, he's got to get it done. And if you really think about it, I think Rodemaker is kind of making those necessary steps to be able to become that backup quarterback, but you kind of have to see what you got in every guy that you have. I know that Jordan Travis is pretty much going to be the starter for next season, coming out there as a redshirt junior, but we'll see. I mean, I definitely think that if you have Rodemaker as an effective piece in this offense, especially at the quarterback position, I think it can really take a lot off of A.J. Duffy to come in, develop, grow, and then be able to kind of compete for years to come. And you also have Chris Parson coming in as well. So there's a lot of effective pieces that could be in play. Do we go after a graduate transfer? I'm not really sure. I mean, I think that they feel comfortable in those 3 quarterbacks. And if Jordan Travis can stay healthy and get away from kind of the sicknesses that he had from last season with the flu and just some nagging injuries that happened because he wasn't able to slide, or, he plays with a lot of heart on his shoulder. So I understand the concerns of injury, but at the same time, you kind of have to trust what you have in your offense. And I really do think that confidence is a big key for what makes Jordan Travis play great at an efficient level. And not to say that you don't need to bring in a graduate transfer quarterback to be successful, but at the same time, you saw what the psyche of the team was whenever Mackenzie Milton come in, and Jordan Travis is like, well, this was supposed to be my opportunity. And if you're bringing in a guy that is supposed to be starting right away, and I understand you have to be competitive at all aspects of the game. You can't just guarantee someone for a starting position unless it may be a guy like Fabian Lovett or Jamie Robinson or any of those guys that could be successful. Every spot is up for grabs at this point. And that's what Norvell has been saying this whole time. Spring practice is really ramping up now with pads going on. So I'm really excited to see what happens throughout this next few weeks, because there's going to be some transfers that come out of the program. I do not expect it to be anybody at the quarterback position, but just overall, I think this quarterback position has got to continue to grow. And they even talked about in the last scrimmage from last week was that Duffy played really well. He played beyond his years. You talked about Rodemaker having some precise and accurate throws. And then you're also talking about Jordan Travis's command of the offense. That is something that has been preached this offseason, is that. So you're hoping that Tate Rodemaker can take the next step forward. And I think that he can be an effective piece in Mike Norvell's offense. But let me know how you thought about the video today and my thoughts. And also be sure to like the video and also subscribe. Click that bell on the side to be notified every time that I post. So that way, when the content does come, you will be notified. And I appreciate everyone's love and support for all my videos. And as always, go Noles.